Welcome to SENZ's very, very special edition of Bleeding Black as we react to Scott Robertson's first All Black squad naming thanks to PGG Wrightson Turf. PGG Wrightson Turf, experts in high-performance turf solutions. If you want to contribute, then give us a call now on 0800 150 811 or you can text us on 8833 on the Temper and Bedpost text machine like plenty of you have. And, one name keeps getting thrown up, and I'm sure there's going to be more said about this one. Coming from a Canes fan, no Hoskins. Blackadder is so injury-prone, not worth it. That's from John. Thinks Blackadder's got Hoskins' position. I probably feel it's somebody else. Another nail for Beaver's coffin is Stevenson has asked for a release, apparently. Thanks, Ken. Not sure, but obviously, who knows? Those sorts of things happen after these sorts of things happening. More here on the Hoskins non-selection from Hampshire. He thinks he can do it all. A la Zinni. Maybe he's told he wouldn't make the All Blacks, and that's why he's played well all year. Top all-round player for Hampshire as far as Hoskins Sotutu goes. We will read you the team, just in case you are joining us for the first time. You might have just jumped in your car after a 6 o'clock finish. You are listening to the PGG Wrightson Turf Special Bleeding Black Edition. Hookers are Moore, Taylor, Bell. Yes, the new cap is Bell amongst that group. Props to Groot, Lomax, Newell, Tossie, another new cap, Big Offer, and Tamaiti Williams are the other props in the group. Just the three locks, Barrett, Vae, and Big Paddy. After his heroics in the final, he's fit and well to go. The loose forwards are Severe, Dalton, Luke Jacobson, Blackadder, Finau, with a new debutant there. Satiti, Wallace Satiti, the young Chiefs number 8, has forced his way in after the last month or two. The halfbacks have a new debutant as well in Ratama, of course, joined by the highly experienced duo of Christie and TJ Perenara. Just two first fives named in Bowden Barrett and Damien McKenzie. Of course, fullback cover from both of them as well. In the midfield, we also have a debutant, Billy Proctor, joins Leonard Brown, Ioane and Barrett, who is the vice-captain. The outside backs, just one fullback, Stevie Perifeta, and then four wingers, Talia, Narawa, Reese and Caleb Clark. Your All Black captain is now Scott Barrett, and as I mentioned, Vice-Captain Geordie Barrett and Artie Savia. For you, though, Stevie, the big glaring omission, the big talking point for you, the head-scratcher is no Hoskins Sotutu, someone who you have felt has been pretty much best on ground as far as Super Rugby goes this year.
Yeah, I'm gobsmacked. I don't think it's fair. I just think he's been probably the standout player of the competition. He's strong, he's big, he gets over the advantage line. He's had something like 12 try assists. That means he's set up 12 tries. He's been involved in the last pass of 12 additional tries. He's already scored, I think, 9 or 10 himself. What else does the kid have to do? I think there is no specialist number 8 in the squad other than Satiti, I guess, but he's played a little bit of 6 as well. He's, a handful of games over a career at 8. There's just Jacobson has played a bit at 8, but he hasn't played a whole career at 8. Blackadder's played a bit at 8. He hasn't played a whole career at 8. I'm gobsmacked. And even Artie hasn't played a whole career at 8. He's a 7, and I still think looking at this team, he will play 7.
That's certainly one question we need to find out, where he falls into this. Of course, the Temper and Bedpost text machine is your guys, and it is blowing up. Ken thinks we've chased out Akira, and now we're going to do the same to Hoskins to fit Blackadder in. Brian, similar vein. Guys, disgrace about Hoskins. Can't help but think McDonald's influence on that one. He couldn't do anything with Hoskins or Akira. Get a good coach, and those two are the best in the comp. Gutted for him and his family. Cheers, Brian. Yes, some strong supporters of Hoskins there. That's going to be the big talking point.
How do you guys have been in a situation, Beav, you obviously have well documented. How do you deal with that when, I mean, Hoskins has been, as you guys have said, the standout player of the year. He probably feels like he deserves a spot. Mentally, how do you deal with that on a day like today when he's out with his mates having the time of his life after winning Super Rugby, and now he's got this to sort of, he's probably happy for his mates that have got named. But mentally, how do you deal with disappointment like that? Both of you, I guess, can attest to that.
Yeah, it's a very sickening feeling. Well, certainly for me, for 2 or 3 days, because I was actually given the heads up a couple of times that it wasn't to be. You walk around. I always sort of say you're in the world, but you're not. You literally just exist for a few days until you get your head around it. And it always took me a few days to get my head around it. And the world is happening around you, and it's almost like you're in one of those movies where it's just sort of you're having a conversation with somebody, but you're not listening. You're having your dinner, but you're not eating. You're just existing, and it's a gut-wrenching thing, especially if you've either A, been dropped, or B, think you've certainly done enough to be in there. That was certainly my experience from it, Stevie.
Yeah, and I guess you work so hard to get a chance at being named, and then over a number of years, and then possibly to see a name pop up that hasn't been playing for a number of years, a debutant as such. It's going to hurt. It just hurts. You've tried so hard. You've bled. You've done everything for your team and your teammates, and then you miss out. Like, there's disappointment, and then there's disappointment of missing out on I believe a little bit of a head scratcher. I'm not taking anything away from Wallace or any of the other loose forwards. I just think you've had a kid play Super Rugby for the last 2 years and has dominated it, and he was very unlucky not to go to the World Cup last year, I thought. And there wouldn't be a person to say that his name must have been pretty close to being selected. Like, that's a head scratcher for me. I don't get it. I look at the team and I see what sort of rugby are they trying to play, and it's not going to be a hell of a lot different to what we've seen the Blues try and play or the Chiefs try and play. Got some pretty talented outside backs, so they'll be trying to throw the ball. But Hoskins has fitted into all of that sort of stuff. I feel very disappointed for him.
Beef, at what point do you think, looking at this, that because Braden Uwase was a standout number 8 along with Hoskins and Sotutu, at what point in this season did Wallace Atiti jump over both of those players?
For me, he played well when he came in, and I still there wasn't. I actually thought that he would probably drop out, and they did drop him after about 3 or 4 games, and I thought, oh yeah, nice little taster there for Sotutu. But then it didn't go well for the Chiefs again when they went Bosher at 7, Jacobson back at 8. So then they made the change again just before the finals and put Bosher to the bench and fiddled around with it. You can't tell me that semi-final for me changed everything for Sotutu. He was so dominant on a big stage against the Hurricanes loose forwards who had been all the rage outside of the Blues loose forward trio. That was the performance which had to have been the one that just threw everything up in the air.
But what about the final, mate?
Oh, exactly. And I will say that, though, in fairness, Stevie, in a team that was poor, he didn't go backwards for me as far as his ability goes.
Yeah.
Fairly good on the carry again. Look, I don't know his tackling stats. I wasn't... I was a wee bit of distance between me and the game, but I thought from a carrying point of view, he was still the one chief looking likely.
Yeah, I get that. And mate, is he a talented boy? Like, I don't want to throw mud on him. He's a talented, very talented footy boy, and congratulations to him. I just feel for
well, I mean, Sotutu. Stevie, if I'm going to put the devil's hat on here. And say this is what they were thinking. Clearly, if you look at that loose forwards trio, or the players that they have picked, the reason I'm going to suggest that is going to get thrown up to us, or it might not get thrown up, obviously sometimes the selectors are never that honest in the public domain, the reason is going to get thrown up around work rate. I believe that can be the only slant on it.
Yeah.
When you look at the type of loose forward they've picked, that's the one that I mean. That's not me saying that. It's not me coming at you and Brad, who I know are both big fans. But that is what they're going to say.
Work rate, more tries, assists. Like, I don't know what's work rate setting up people for tries or work rate just hitting rucks.
I don't know.
Mate,
but you know what I mean, don't you?
I know what you mean, but I'm just that's tough, mate. I just hope we don't lose them now to offshore.
Well, just on that, and my brain was a ticking. I kind of feel like if you're awake in France right now, you're probably on the phone finding out who Hoskins Sotutu's player manager is. And I would suggest if Japanese rugby probably on the blower too, Beef. Because Sean Stevenson, Hoskins Sotutu, guys that have been linked to moves before have committed to New Zealand rugby. They'll probably, this is the time where they'll be feeling a little emotional and maybe they will make a rash decision and decide to jump ship.
Oh, it is the absolute time to pray. It is the absolute time if you are an overseas club. Stevie, if we can just move away from Hoskins for a second. The number 9s, was there anyone else who was there or thereabout for you? Was Funaki ever realistic? Was Fakatava close for you?
Fakatava was close because he's that different player. So we got 3 passes, right? 3 guys who get to the ruck quickly and clear the ball quickly, and support play very quickly and very well. And then you have Fakatava, who's like the traditional number 7-9 who runs, sneaks around the side. It gives you a different option. I'm not saying that these guys can't sneak around the side. It just, he's the different halfback. I feel that him and Roygaard are the 2 runners in the country as 9s, and everyone else is the passers. And that's where, but in saying that, those 3 I would have named. If Fakatava was in there without one of them, I would have been happy with that as well. I just think there's 3 there's 3 very, very good halfbacks there, and there's one to come back. So I'm not at all surprised or disappointed by those 3 decisions. I think probably the 3 best passing halfbacks in the country are in that team right now.
And just a little update from our listeners who are obviously tuning in every which corner. Kevin's texted in and said Robinson has just said work rate on both sides of the ball. So it's not a rocket science as far as that was going to be the reason. Question: Does Sotutu rub people up the wrong way? I remember he said early in his career that people didn't like his body language, which sometimes didn't make teams. That's from Chris. Well, I think by the time you get to that level, you have to be a fairly bad individual to not be picked for teams, and I don't think he's that bad an individual from what I hear and see. So I can't see that it is that. Well, it's a joke.
Can I ask you, Beef?
He's just not happy.
Can I ask you about Luke Jacobson?
Yes.
Do you see him being the best 6/8/7 in the country?
I have him in my team. I had him there probably ahead of a couple of others. I think it's rare that you can have someone who, for a bench spot, so valuable. But see, I'm of the belief, and again, I don't pretend to be a guru on loose forward play either. I still think his best position is 7, and the Chiefs' best performances this year have been when he's been at 7.
Yeah.
But then you go, who's he in competition with here? Is it just Dalton, or is it Dalton and Artie? So
yeah, I feel like you pick your best in every position, and then your second best in every position. When you got someone like Artie who can play, like Artie's on the field, right? It doesn't matter if he's 7, doesn't matter if it's 6, it doesn't matter if he's 8. He's on the field, so you always got that cover. So why not pick then the best 8, and then the best 6, and then the best 7, and Artie, they take a bench seat to Artie.
Well, again, something that they said last week, which obviously we have made a lot out of because it was, I guess, a big indicator so close to the All Black selections, is they said they were picking the best 2 in each position. So therefore, you've picked 6 loose forwards. So maybe it is going to become clear and obvious what positions everyone is considered.
Who's the lock cover? Is Samipini Finau because Test week you're going to have 2 locks starting and a lock on the bench.
Yes.
So would Samipini or Ethan Blackett? I don't know. I'm just trying to think in terms of size. Samipini and Ethan Blackett are the 2 biggest loose forwards in that. Well,
you don't need one. You don't need one on the bench, Brad, if you've already got. So you're going to have
just
your third
sort of
lock on the
thinking,
bench.
like, if Scott Barrett pulls his groin at the start of the week, is that where Sam Darry would just walk straight into the squad?
There.
Yeah, all right.
Yep.
Yeah, Finau's played a little bit of lock for the Chiefs this year.
Yes.
So
he's the tallest. We were actually running through this last week, Stevie. The loose forward crop of New Zealand's not tall, is it? When you think about what's going to be coming at them with the Box and even England. Yep. Sammy Penny at 6'5" is by far the biggest, I think, loose forward in there. Just on that, obviously, England not too far away, Stevie. Everything that you've seen, and you've seen the team now, pretty confident that there's going to be a good 15, a good 23 put together?
Well, there's a lot of positions there that there's definitely our best players in the country there. How England are going to play? How England are going to play is not going to be too different from how the Blues played last weekend.
No.
And how how did the Blues boys go? How do you stop England when they're doing what the Blues did? Teams have struggled this year. It's not what we're good at. And it's going to be exactly what the Blues did. That's how England are going to come at us. I think they've got a very good number 8. The English team did in Earl. I think he's probably near on the best player in the world right now. So, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be all field goals. It's going to be all territory, and it's going to be all pick and goes and driving mauls and scrum time. So we've got to get ready for a set piece marathon. It's going to be. A few of those boys, particularly up front, haven't had a lot of game time.
No.
So it's going to be interesting. We've got a week of practice, and then we've got a week of test match, and we're into it. So it's going to be interesting down there in Dunners.
Absolutely. The one thing we do know is she will be a high-octane game, and that might be something that the English might not be preparing themselves for as far as that surface under the roof. Stevie? Yeah,
but mate, I just think in the modern game now, England are good enough to slow it down. A prop goes down at a line out. It's just it's not up to the players anymore for a quick octane game. The other teams can slow it down. They just put a player down. They slow it down. England are famous for it, and you can want to play a high octane game. England are good enough to even if you want to do it, to not let you do it. There's no one better in the world than to slowing a game down than is England.
Plenty of texts coming in on the Temper and Bedpost text machine. Hi guys, got a feel for Hoskins. With the cover they have at 7, I thought Jacobson would be out and Hoskins in. Unlucky there. Not a bad team. Hoskins very unlucky. He'll be in there this year, betcha. Bit of comfort there. Hoskins has signed a 2-year deal, by all accounts, with the Blues. Darry and Renata. My God, the side is a disgrace. Ken not happy after his team got the job done. Hey, Beav and Steve. Do the close but not picked players get told why they are not picked? Brent, from my understanding and experience, it would be probably if you've been there in the past, or you've been in comms maybe throughout the year with these coaches. They wouldn't be just picking, like I can't imagine they rung up Lakai or Yoste. Maybe, but I do think they would have probably rung up a couple of the guys who have got caps under them who might have been at the World Cup. I don't think there's actually too many that would have at the World Cup who have missed, but that would have probably been the category of the threshold as far as that goes. Hey boys, so BB starts and the Joker who is loose comes on when the game is won from Stratty.
I still think Mackenzie's our best 10 going forward. In a pack that goes forward, he's our best 10 in the country.
Yep. Yeah, I know there's been a fair bit of heat come on Damien's performance from the final, and easy for me to defend him, but his pack got monstered. His pack, cheap as it got monstered in the weekend. It really wasn't pretty. So, Damien, as Stevie said, I think if you're looking for 4 years' time, for 3 years' time, for 2 years' time, get him a decent pack, which he's going to have in front of him. I think he can be the player that we all hope. Well, we have got more coming up in the bleeding Black All Blacks team naming special thanks to PGG Wrightson's. We have All Blacks assistant coach Jason Holland coming up after the break, where we hope we can get a bit more information for you, a bit more questions answered from this team naming. Scott Barrett is your new All Black captain, Ardie Savea and brother Geordie Barrett are the vice captains. We have 5 new debutants: Bal, Tossi, Sotutu, Cortez Latama and Billy Proctor make up your new All Blacks. 4 wingers, 1 fullback, 4 midfielders, just the 2 first fives, 3 halfbacks, Ratama joining TJ and Finlay. 6 loose forwards, the big omission, no Hoskins, Sotutu, just 3 locks named. Paddy joins Tupou Vai and Scott Barrett. 6 props and 3 hookers. Ricky Riccatelli, I would think, is also somebody who must have been very close with his performances this year for the Blues. As we said, assistant coach Jason Holland joining us after the break, and plenty more time to give us your feedback on the squad on the temper and bedpost text machine. This is Bleeding Black Special Edition. You are on a special edition of Bleeding Black with SENZ's special. As we say, it's the special edition brought to you by PGG Wrightson Turf. Experts in high-performance turf solutions. Premium suppliers of turf seed and maintenance to New Zealand rugby grounds. Yes, it is a special edition because we have just had the All Black team announcement at 5:40. We've started to go over it. It's a predictable but not predictable squad. Obviously, the big omission from Stevie Devine's point of view, and you, the listeners, know Hoskins, Sotutu. And that is something that you guys would all like us to ask when we get the assistant coach on shortly. But and we certainly will do that for you. Some interesting ones there coming through. The Poms will be licking their lips at getting an All Black side with this amount of Crusaders in it, says Brian. It's probably the least they've had for quite some time. I think I've just done a quick count, 6 or 7. But yes, keep the texts coming in on the temper and bedpost text machine. As said, the 32-man squad has been named. For you those just joining us, the debutants are Bal, Tossi, Sotutu, Ratama and Billy Proctor, all after their campaigns this year. The captain is Scott Barrett. The vice-captains are Ardie Savea and Geordie Barrett. Of course, Stevie, I was about to say, I was going to ask you about Ardie coming back from Japan. We don't have any concerns about him, though, do we? We presume he'll be straight in there and flying. Yeah,
but history does suggest, right? But he's a different athlete. He's only going over there for a short time, and he'll be coming straight back in the All Black setup. So he's probably put a fair bit of work in, I imagine, while he's been over there.
Well, it is time. We are very lucky to have one of the All Blacks assistant coaches on the line. Jason Holland joins us now. Jason, how's the first experience of picking an All Black team been for you?
Evening, man. Yeah, no, she's been. It's been great. It's been a pretty long 6 months. As been said, we have our own positions and presenting back to the coaches every month or so around where we're thinking and what we're doing from pretty much from the end of February. So it's been a good process and glad to have got to the spot.
And I guess if we, as you said, the coaches have all been given their areas, and if we dial in on your one, you have a debutant make the team for the first time, Billy Proctor. What was the reasoning? What's he offer? Obviously, he had an outstanding campaign for the Canes.
Yeah, look, Billy's been banging the door down all season, really, every week, really consistent around his game. I think he's added probably in the last 18 months to his game. He's added around his attacking game, seen lots more defenders beaten, those sorts of things. A real threat at 13 now, and he was always really consistent in what he did, but now really rounded in what he can offer the team, and we reckon he'll fit really well into the way we want to play the game. Obviously, the other boys, we've got some real proven All Blacks in that midfield as well, Geordie, Reeks and Anton. So between the 4 of them there, I think we're in pretty good shape.
Jace, was the team selected with the idea of a type of game plan you want to play for this season, or is it is that what is in mind, like a game plan of how to beat England and the Box?
Yeah, definitely. Yes, yeah, it's definitely. We've talked at length through January, February, March around what we think is important to an international footy and the balance in our game. And I think, to answer your question, the game has been picked based on initially beating England, and then there's the potential to add 4 players once we get through the first 3 games to go into the championship versus Argentinians, South Africans and Aussies. So specifically, the first 3 games is what we're looking at the moment.
And Jason, looking at the squad, obviously there's talking points all through it. I guess one of the interesting ones, first of all, is we led to believe from an interview from Rangi there last week. You mentioned picking the best couple on each position. Artie Savea, when you look at the Sleuths forward mix, does the new coaching regime see Artie as a 7 or an 8?
Look, I think we see Artie as an 8. Obviously, Art can do both. I think he played 7 in club footy in the weekend, but no, he's an 8 in their eyes initially. So that's the mix around him being able to play 8, and then obviously the youngster Wallace Sotutu being also probably an out 8, and then the other couple of boys with Dalton and Samapini and Blackadder and Jacobson. So good balance there around what we need to beat England.
Maybe we'll talk about Hoskins Sotutu. Probably us and also the listeners are, a little bit not concerned. Just like his non-selection is. What were the thoughts on what are the work-ons? Was he given work-ons?
Yeah, it's massive. It's the positions that was talked around the most and debated the most, and went all through the 4 or 5 months and got to the stage where we got to today. Hoskins obviously been outstanding with the ball in hand, and he's really grown his game in lots of areas. But it's not so much around what he can't do, about what the others are doing consistently through the Super Footy and what we think they can bring through these first couple of games against England. So I know Razor's really massive on his loosies around being really consistent both sides of the ball, and I think he's really happy with the 6 guys that are in that loose forward trio that can consistently do that both sides of the ball.
But when you're staying in that area, obviously you mentioned the debutant Wallace Sotutu. At what stage of this campaign did Sotutu start, I guess, really popping his head up to you guys and saying, well, I saw you have to pick me? Obviously, the semi-final performance on the big stage was something else, but was it prior to that?
Yeah, it was prior to that, but it was, in fairness, it wasn't until he started to play, get a bit of time for the Chiefs. And the boys knew him from underage stuff, and had always sort of thought we'll keep an eye on Wallace around how he goes. But for him to stand up in the business end of the season and beat tackles and work hard and make as many tackles he did and just be the real solid player that he was, it was probably cemented through the final series when we saw guys under massive pressure and the physical side of the game, and he just kept fronting both sides of the ball through those last 2 or 3 weeks, which got him the nod.
Mate, do you have any concerns with Artie coming back, having spent 6-8 months in Japan? Traditionally, players who come back tend to struggle.
Yeah, look, ours is pretty. He's a smart man around his body. We think he's in great nick as far as his physical numbers and stature. And he had a club game last week where he gradually wound up through that, and we had a non-finalist training week last week where we had all the boys in training, and he was looking a pretty good nick. So we'll be backing Artie's experience to understand where his body's at, and be ready to play a test match in a couple of weeks.
And just looking at your back division, 2 first fives and 1 fullback who can all play the other position probably as equally and as comfortable as the other one. Is that just the beauty of having Mackenzie, Barrett and Petafeta, the ability to cover 2 positions with 3 players?
Yeah, to an extent that is a bonus. We're seeing Stevie predominantly as a 15 at the moment. Obviously D-Max probably we see as a 10 with Bodie being able to do both. So that's sort of where we see those 3 boys at the moment. Loving Stevie at the back. He's been pretty special at the back in the last 3 or 4 weeks around around a lot of the kick stuff that we will get around high ball, around his ability to counter when the kicks get a bit loose, and that's how we see Stevie.
And you've also just named the three locks, and Big Paddy, obviously, huge effort in the weekend. I saw him at the press conference, probably sinking his first of many beers. Health-wise, how's he come through? Have you heard from him?
Yeah, no, there's been the medics, and I think Ray's been in touch yet. So, it was pretty amazing effort to do what he did the other night in that final after the injury he had, and he didn't look like a man who had too much wrong with his knee. But naming the three locks is it was a big call and made room for another Lucy. But we're thinking Paddy will be all right, but there's potential to have injury replacement for a couple of those Blues boys who may have taken a few dings. I know Caleb Clark and Offa took little dings as well, so we'll just have to see how they fare in the next couple of days.
Jace, looking forward to England. I think the whole planet knows the type of rugby they're going to try and be playing, and set piece is a big part of that. We're confident in that area. I know. It's so hard. You're putting kids together with very limited time to get ready, and they're coming off the back of a already long, campaign where they're pretty well set, and already had a game against Japan.
Yeah, like you're right, mate, around a couple of things that are important to beat England, and obviously set piece is massive amongst that. I think the All Blacks got, in the last year or so, and watching the boys of Super Rugby, scrum-wise, I think we've got to a pretty good spot. Obviously, that'll be a massive challenge against the English, but with the tight five that have been picked in the front rowers, then I think we're in a pretty good spot there, and Jason Holland will be powering some work into that, no doubt, in the next 10 or 12 days when we get together. That side of the game and the physical side of the game from 1 to 15 or 1 to 23 is a massive part of where we need to beat England.
And as far as you mentioned getting together, what does it look like now? Saturday week, England and Dunedin. When do you get the boys all in camp?
Yeah, so we start Wednesday morning. So Wednesday morning in Wellington, out at the NZCIS, the Hurricanes base there. So we're out there from Wednesday morning. We have 4 days together, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and half Saturday, where we train. And then stay out there, have a day off Sunday, and whip into a normal test week from Monday there and play Saturday in Dunedin. But we're actually heading down to Dunedin on the Tuesday after training. So we stay in Wellington until Tuesday after training, get down to Dunedin Tuesday night, and day off, and then we train on the stadium down under the roof down there on the Thursday, and all set to go.
Well, Jason, we appreciate your time. Obviously, a huge, exciting day for you finally to pick your 32-man squad, and all the best for next week, and all the best for the coming season.
Beautiful. Thanks, mate.
There he is. We will break after this. Give us your feedback, and me and Stevie will pick apart what we heard and go into it in a little bit more depth. Of course, you are listening to Bleeding Black All Blacks team naming special, brought to you by PGG Wrightson Turf. You're with Beaver and Stevie Devine in a special edition of Bleeding Black All Blacks team naming, brought to you by PGG Wrightson Turf. And we've just had All Black assistant coach Jason Holland talking about a few of the selections, talking about England coming up. Look, if I look at this team, the 32 named, there's no real areas of concern for me. I think, as Stevie touched on, it's the best of the country. Obviously, there's a couple of big questions around some of the absentees. Probably one absentee's obviously grabbing the headlines and the texts at the moment, and we'll dive into the responses we got from there. But when you look at the front rows, the hookers, the locks, the loose forwards, halfbacks, first fives, midfielders and outsides, when they're all put down on a bit of paper like they are to me right now, there's not too much that you think, oh geez, we could get picked apart here. No, just if you're joining us for the first time, Taylor, Amua, Bow, De Groot, Lomax, Newell, Tossie, Debutant, Big Offer and Tamaiti are the front rowers. Barrett, Vai and Big Paddy are the only locks named. The loose forwards are Severe, Dalton, Luke Jacobson, Blackadder, Sammy Penny-Finau, and for the first time, Wallace Satiti is the bolter. Halfbacks, Christie Perinara, and again, a debutant, Latimer, Barrett and McKenzie. Proctor, Billy Proctor joins Barrett, Ioane, Leonard Brown in the midfield, and Talia, Narawa, Sevi Reese, and Caleb Clark, and Stevie Perifetta are your outside backs. Brad, you've had a bit of time to digest it, sit back, listen to the interview. Thoughts again?
Well, a couple of things. First of all, he mentioned the opportunity to bring in 4 players for the Rugby Championship. I feel like in the pack that'll be an extra lock and probably a loose forward. I feel like we're truly going to know their feelings on Hoskins Sotutu. 2 reasons. One, if there's an injury in the loose forwards and he's not picked up, and it's like a Braden Uwase or Peter Lakai. And 2, with these 30, with the extra 4 players, because I feel like it's a loose forward and a lock. Up front, and then maybe you might pick another midfielder potentially, I guess, Beef, and then maybe an extra prop. So I'm still not convinced that the Hoskins thing is totally on his form. I just don't think that he fit. Obviously, he does not fit what they want, because you can't ignore how good a player he's been this year. And even Paul Tito, Beaver, when we interviewed him, it must have been about 6 or 7 weeks ago, maybe before the Crusaders game, and he said that he had doubts about Hoskins before the season started, but that he'd turned everything around and done everything that asked for him, and he'd convinced Vern Cotter that, he was the right man for the job. So, that to me was the only head scratcher. He had good reasoning around the other positions, but it just seems for them, Hoskins doesn't fit the style of play, because I think what was the comment that he made, that with the ball in hand he does all the right things, but it's not about what he doesn't do well, it's what about the other guys do better than him, sort of thing, is what he sort of alluded to.
Yeah, plenty more texts coming in around that. Evening, gentlemen. Davo here from Cambridge. I don't mind the All Blacks team, but just hope they haven't chucked in Satiti too early. Don't get me wrong, this kid is a superstar in the making, but probably would have rather seen Hoskins in now and taken Satiti on the end-of-year tour. But hopefully they know what they are doing. Good luck, lads. That's from Dave in Cambridge. And another one here. Lads, can you please explain the answer Jason gave, that the 6 forwards that Razor likes are players that use the ball both sides? So Hoskins wasn't doing that this season. That's from Irish John. Well, I will interpret that, Irish John, as the defence. It can only be defence, is what they've highlighted. When they talk about both sides of the ball and doing work around that, Stevie.
The only thing I can put it down to is maybe the number of times he gets on top of the ball for a jackal as such. Again, I don't think he's been terrible at it. And again, we're talking about the guy who has the number 1 try assists in the game. This is not just for number 8s. This is for every player in the competition. He's the number 1 try assist. He's set up more tries than any other player. He scored near on the top number of tries as well. It's a head scratcher, and I completely agree. Satiti is going to be a superstar. There's no doubt about that. Is it a bit early? He's played half a dozen Super Rugby matches. Beef.
Yep.
8, 6 maybe. Yeah, okay. I just hope it ends well for all of them. That's what I hope. But I just really feel for Hoskins. For me, he's been probably the player of the competition, and I just couldn't see how his name couldn't be read out after what he's done this year.
Yeah, you certainly think. Exactly right, Stevie. If they have a super prize for Player of the Year, which I know they do, Hoskins will be a finalist. That is for sure. I guess prior to the interview, I said that the reason I think they'll give up is the fact that work rate would be the one that they would try and poke holes in when you look at the other guys, and I guess both sides of the ball is possibly a little nod of the hat to that, because they talk about when someone's got the ball in hand, they're engaged, I guess, Stevie, and coaches speak.
Yeah. Well, I guess if you look at work rate, right, Hoskins would have hit more rucks, more tackles, more run meters than this year than Blackadder has, because Blackadder's played, 4 games?
Yeah.
So in terms of in both sides of the ball, his numbers would be better than Ethan Blackadder's due to just sheer number of games. But I can let it go, mate. I can let it go. I can get on board.
Of course. JD, Tossie is the big prop. You were wanting to know if the Canes prop made it. Yes, Tossie's been a massive mover in the last month or two. I guess his trajectory is very similar to Wallace Atiti. Midway through the year, you would have given them no chance, and now both have been named for the first time in an All Blacks squad. Stay with us, plenty more coming up after this one. Yes, you've joined the PGG Wrightson Turf special Bleeding It Black. Stevie, message in here for you. Don't let it go. This is BS. There needs to be an investigation. Hoskins, does he have another country to play for and crush the All Blacks? Hope he plays well. Whoop. There you go. An investigation is what's needed there, apparently.
I just hope the kid sticks around. You know, that's all I hope. Yep. I think he can still have a very long career in All Black jumper. He will get a shot. I just hope he, mate. I just hope he keeps working as hard as he has been, and I have no doubt he'll get a shot at some stage this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Building upon building, you're just gonna have to knock that hard that it can't be ignored. Dave, well, he's excited because the Wellington NPC team will have a devastating loose forward trio. Yes, I think you did right, Dave. That loose forward trio running around the NPC could be quite scary for a lot. I actually remember Flanders goes back to man number 2, doesn't he? So you lose one, but you do still have Shields, Lakai, and Karifi. So no, you'll be right there, Dave. It's been wonderful, Stevie. We've come to an end. It's been a big old day. Again, congratulations to all you Aucklanders and Blues supporters. Phenomenal performance on Saturday night. And, well, after weeks and weeks of chat, we've now got an All Black team. And, well, in a week's time, we're getting in behind them and watching them do the job on England in Dunedin. Stevie, thanks as always, mate, for coming in.
Cheers, mate. Go the Blues.
She's going to be a long 12 months, folks. A long 12 months. Jeez, they couldn't go back to back, could they? Oh, could you imagine it?
It's what the country want.
You keep talking about this country. See you all tomorrow, folks, on the run home.